welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good Lord, what is loud enough in this room today to constantly have my microphone picking it up? Do I even want to know? I don't know. Everything is on fire today. It's one of those days. I don't know if it's like a full moon or like somebody fucking sacrificed a goat to Satan today. I have no idea, but everything all at once is on fire, typically. But we got it sorted. We're here. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. Got a great show lined up for you. We were away last week because I had a job interview that got scheduled in semi-last minute. Let me post that. Semi-last minute, right overlapping the podcast. Because as we've mentioned before, as soon as we moved this podcast to this time slot, everything in the world now happens specifically at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on a Thursday without fail. It's just the way it goes. But the interview went well. It went very well. And I'm hearing back from them either sometime, should be sometime this coming week. They are in the midst of a marketing thing, and they're in the midst of a big marketing push for something, and so the office is also on fire for them, and they needed some time to get through that before finalizing whether or not they're going to bring me in, and then pay structure and all that other stuff. But it's looking pretty good, and beyond just saying that it's a marketing thing, it would just be it's a contracted deal, 4 to 6 months, and then the hope is, you gotta impress them enough that they then go to the president and convince them that it has to be a full-time permanent position instead of contracted, so that I don't have to go fucking submitting more applications for more jobs in other places in 4 to 6 months. Ideally. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. There we go. Yeah, another great show otherwise. We've got some good stuff to talk about. Lots happened in the last couple of weeks. We'll touch on some of it. Really, there's the elephant in the room, and then there's the slightly legally distinct version of that elephant also in the room. So we get to talk about that. But before we do, not to interrupt Mr. Black checking on RP Reddit right now to make sure that OTT is still in the positive. Mr. Black, how's your week?
My week is all right.
That's good.
It was all right. It was all right. Let me see here. Sorry. There we go. That sounds better. Yeah, no, it was good. I just been streaming, grinding, doing my thing.
Nothing exploded after we installed the CPU.
No,
That's good.
It's actually working really well. I'm actually very happy we decided to
not spend $6,000.
Yes. So what did I do? I went and I ordered a new desk.
Right. You were talking about that.
Yeah, for the low price of $3,150.
Is this desk made of ebony? What the fuck is this desk made of? Unobtainium?
Pretty much. Yeah. No, I got real, hardwood. I got sort of matching the floor here.
Okay.
It's a standy desk, so it goes up and down.
Right.
It's custom, so it can fit this wall. And it's got all kinds of bells and whistles, bro. It's got a foot hammock underneath it. It's got all the stupid fucking shit that you could ever want. So that's on its way. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a birthday there on.
You did.
On Monday, was it? Oh, 3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago now. Yep.
Yep. So I turned 37. Didn't really do a whole lot. Just kind of streamed all day and chilled and had ice cream.
Real ice cream?
Yeah.
Oh, you committed to it.
Yeah.
Did you regret it afterwards, or did you survive the onslaught?
It was all right. It was all right. I have these pills that I take, so like if I eat.
You're doing like lactate pills.
No, it's not lactate pills. These ones,
Oh.
it's a different type of pill, but it basically just helps with like bloating and all these symptoms that I get from eating certain foods. So I pop a couple of those, eat the food. It still kind of sucks, but it's not nearly as bad.
Right.
So splurge
Well, there you
a little
go.
bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go, you gotta splurge a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, geez, other than, what happened the last couple weeks here? I mean, obviously, so I had a couple of interviews. I did, Jeff's, computer, upgrade. That went, mostly smooth. Mostly. We only had just a minor hiccup. It was very weird. It didn't want to when I immediately swapped the CPU before updating the BIOS because when I did it on mine, both of us have similar AM4 boards. It still let me get into the BIOS to update into the to get into the UFI to update the BIOS. And his board didn't want that. It said, no, you're not allowed. Go fuck yourself. So I had to take the CPU back out, put the old CPU back in, update the BIOS, and then pull it back out and put the new CPU back in. But other than that, it went very smoothly. I was actually thankful. And even more so that a week and a half, 2 weeks later, it's still running. It's still running as intended. I made the joke. I said I got to do everything while I'm here because I don't want to be halfway home and have Jeff hit my phone up going, guys, it's on fire. So thankfully it's not. It's good. We saved $6,000, which meant he got to spend half of that on a fucking desk. God damn it! That's such an expensive desk.
There's so much, dude. And the thing is I looked to many places. Like here locally, I went to every possible place. And the problem was it's the dimensions that here.
Well, you're trying to do an L desk that fits your nook specifically.
Correct. Which is a problem. And these desks, like if you get a high quality one, right? You don't want. I've had this desk for like 7 or 8 years. And like this is just a shitty desk that you get from Staples, but it worked. But I really want to start standing up like at least an hour or two a day.
Yeah.
So, getting one that is the hydraulics, and then they've got all kinds of fucking shit you could buy for these things. Like you can get like built-in USB-C and USB. Exactly. It was literally what Adam's doing. I realized I started lowering my desk and I forgot I had my fucking chair underneath of it. That almost went horribly fucking wrong. We're okay. Nothing exploded. We're good. But yeah, no, there's all kinds of stuff. Obviously, it's very, very high quality. It better be. It's got a 15-year warranty, so it's literally like a one and done. But yeah, I looked everywhere. I looked at the reason why it also costs so much is like $700 of it is shipping. It's literally shipping, $700 because it comes from the States, and they have a Canadian site that does custom desk work, but I customized one desk and then I customized the other desk, and it was $150 difference from the US one and the Canadian one.
Right.
I went with the US one because I got infinitely more bells and whistles, and it was just higher quality. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna bite the bullet. And it's $500 for shipping because it's heavy. It's like it's full.
It's heavy. Oh yeah,
it's heavy as fuck. It's a lot of metal, a lot of hardwood, a lot of parts.
And you're probably paying like border fees too. Coming across.
Yeah, it gets exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, even without those fees and shit, I mean, it's still like a $2,500 desk. It's not a cheap desk, right?
Well, you're getting real wood, which is a lot of it too, because as soon as you put real wood on something, the price immediately skyrockets. So, not surprising.
So yeah, decided to splurge on that since we saved quite a bit on the PC. There's a few other things I'm doing. I'm gonna order some new monitors, but I'm gonna wait until I get the desk and have everything set up, kind of see like what fits what looks good. There's a bunch of accessories I gotta buy. I gotta buy a bunch of extenders because obviously the desk is gonna go up and down.
Yep.
So I gotta do that. There's just a few things I'm doing, just kind of upgrading as a whole. I'm gonna get all new overlays and shit for the stream. And I'm actually gonna, try and make my stream look pretty good this year. So
wonderful.
Happens.
Let's go.
That's been my week.
Let's go. let me know. I know you said extenders and stuff. And just apropos of that, I do have spare USB extension cables here. So if you just want a couple of those, otherwise with like any other cable, don't try to extend HDMI or DisplayPort. Just buy longer HDMI and DisplayPort. One, it will be cheaper.
Yeah,
just buy new
better
cables.
off getting a full longer cable.
Yeah.
But though I think there's just a few devices that could use an extender. Like, you know, it's like my audio interface or because some of the cords that they come with, they're not long. Like they barely fit now from like the desk all the way down.
Yeah, they're like 3.5 foot fucking cables or some shit.
You know, you jack this thing up, 3 feet, and it's like there ain't a chance in hell, right? So.
Does it have? It's a very fancy desk. Does it have a USB hub built into it anywhere at the top?
It does.
Okay, so that might help you a bit.
Yeah, they got it was customizable, so like you can get built-in USB-C, USB, Thunderbolt. They've got like plugins into the desk as well. Basically, dude, it's like a fucking little car.
Amazing.
It's overpriced, but hey, we're going for it.
Wonderful. Yeah, so other than that, I mean, geez, over here on my side, so I did Jeff's thing, stole his wallet inadvertently, sorted that out, came home, and then the rest of the time, this week was PalWorld, which we're going to talk about for a bit. That's probably the biggest thing that's happened in gaming here in the last 2 weeks is PalWorld. So I've been playing a ton of that. And I cleaned up. I finally took the time. Mark stopped by. I had so much shit for him here to take off my hands. I finally got the time to sit down and wipe all the old hard drives I had. A bunch of like 1 terabyte Western Digital black drives that I used to use for, live TV stuff or whatever. Now I have my network drive. That's wholly separate. So all these drives were laying around. And I didn't want to just throw them away because they had a bunch of shit on them. So I sat down and said, fuck it, finally, let's do it. And I took like 3 days because it takes fucking forever moving everything off of those drives. I do some of the like old live TV shit I found on these drives, just fucking ancient shit. There was stuff I wish I was I could find, but I didn't. So like Dear Light TV 1 and 2 is still lost to like the fucking ether. Like those are gone. I have 3, so I have Dear Light TV 3, and then I have test footage from when we were setting that setup up. So I have like some random test videos of us like fucking young, chubby, brace-faced Jeff and much more hair, full Adam. And in that lighting setup, I looked like I hadn't slept in fucking 9 months. Eyes were sunk into the back of my head. I looked like a meth head. It was fucking terrible. But yeah, lots of stuff like that. I found like just a whack of stuff. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, wiped them all. And so that and like old computer and a bunch of stuff that he could use, cleared out the back. Then I finally cleared out this area behind my office here and put down some rubber matting I bought at Costco because they just randomly had it. And so the exercise space is starting to actually be built out back there finally. And then what else did I do? Oh, I have this, you can't see it right now, but I set up stuff for my chair so I can do mouse and keyboard gaming from my big chair on the TV, which helps when my legs and feet are fucked. What else happened? And then yesterday, so randomly I got, like, you know how our healthcare system here in Nova Scotia works. It's like Canada's healthcare is already a little, it's there. If you're dying, you're going to be okay. But for everyone else, there's MasterCard. And I say that almost literally. But they, like 2 years ago, I had a bunch of nerve issues where like you could draw a line down the middle of my body. My whole right side was weird, pins, needles. I lost like a little bit of grip strength and stuff in my right hand. It was all fucking weird. And so I had gone through a bunch of tests. I'd gone to a neurologist. I ended up seeing like the head neurologist here in the province. She ran a bunch of tests on me. Everything seemed to come up relatively clear. So she was like, well, it could very well be something as stupid as you have managed to consecutively sleep on one side so long you've now impinged nerves down the entire right side of your body. But just to be safe, MRI. And I was like, great, awesome. So she put in for the MRI. I forgot about it. 2 years later, This week, last week, no, it was, 2 weeks ago, just for the podcast, fucking letter shows up in the mail. I was like, what the fuck is this? What are we getting mail from the NSHA for? I opened it up and it's like, congratulations. You won the lottery. You're getting your MRI 2 years after it was put in. And so I was like, Jesus Christ. Okay, fine, whatever. So like that issue like eventually resolved itself, and it did seem to be mostly nerve impingement from positions I was either sleeping in or sitting in and stuff, and it just so happened to like literally fuck one side of my body, because I haven't had that since. However, Em was like, I mean, my God, it takes forever to get an MRI, and even if you were to pay for one, it's like, $2,000 to get an MRI. It's fucking expensive as shit. So she was like, just take it. Take it for fun. And I was like, all right, fine, fuck it. So last night, I went in and got my MRI. It was quite an experience. It was my first one. Have you ever had an MRI? Yeah, you have one. So I knew mostly what to expect, going into the machine, whatever. I'm not claustrophobic, so that doesn't bother me at all. And I knew it's a loud machine, but I was surprised.
Clonk, clonk.
Well, yeah, it's like clunking and stuff, but it was the range of sounds was kind of impressive. Like every image that they took was a different like tone. They give you earplugs and shit because it's loud as fuck. But it was like, it sounded like a shitty dubstep concert. Like every fucking, it was fucking nuts. And I was in there because they were doing my head and my neck. So I was in there for 30 straight minutes of just listening to this shit dubstep music. And I was ready to get the fuck out after that. Not for claustrophobia, but if I had to listen to this fucking sounds for any longer, I was gonna go fucking...
Or they not play music for you? Because when I was there, they were like, "What music do you like?" And they'd ask me, and then
oh really?
Like, okay. And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "What kind of music?" And then they'd have this loud music playing. You just listen to music.
Oh seriously? Oh no, I got Raw Dog. They gave me some shitty earplugs.
Churro, mine happened in Churro, so.
Oh yeah, they're probably a different company, because there's a company that's set up in the hospital in Halifax, and then Churro's probably a different company. But yeah, they came in. They're really good. They came in, sat down. You do the whole spiel. Gave me like those shitty little compression earplugs that really only half plugged my ears. So I was still getting basically deafened by the fucking machine. And then nothing like that. They like occasionally would pipe in between sets and be like, the next images are going to take about 6 minutes. I was like, all right, cool. And then it was just 6 minutes of shitty Skrillex until like the next fucking set of images. But yeah, it was quite an experience. And I can't wait to see if I still have a brain. It's basically all we're waiting for. We'll find out if I still have gray matter. That was the show. That was my entire time. And so now let's get to it. Let's talk about a little bit of video game news. We're on a relatively short timeline because M is in a slightly new position for the next 2 months. Fancy upgraded role where they pay her basically no money but give her a bunch of responsibility. Which means she has to be in work earlier tonight because they're having staffing issues. Hey!
Well, then let's hammer it.
So let's hammer it out. This week, Microsoft held their developer direct, or last week I should say, last Thursday actually, again, because everything happens on a Thursday, literally overlapping the podcast. So last week, developer direct, and we got to see some of the games in development for the console and of course for Game Pass. We saw the much invested in Avowed, that's that Skyrim-esque RPG from Obsidian, that Microsoft has been putting a lot of marketing behind, a lot of weight on, like the whole, we don't have exclusives. And so every time somebody says that, they're like, well, Avowed! And so they're showing off Avowed again. And I gotta keep it a buck. It literally looks like a Skyrim mod, which is fine because modded Skyrim is a relatively good time. There's a reason why they keep selling bajillions of copies. It's a pretty good time. But it's also 2024, and I don't know if I just want another Skyrim mod. And so we're gonna have to wait and see if Obsidian brings the goods when it comes to story and all that other shit that comes along with an RPG. They also had a really neato splash screen. It looked really good. The key art for it, I should say, was really nice. But otherwise, it looked mid. I just gotta keep it 100. It looks super fucking mid. Not something that we should have been hearing about for 4 straight years. The build-up, that's not gonna be much of a payoff unless they pull off something crazy, which hopefully they do. Then we got the other endless announcement, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which I feel like I've been hearing about since before I lost my hair. And it's really fucking like every Xbox event, they had a new developer diary where they just had like really high quality like fucking like Christopher Nolan filming their studios where they were like, this is look at the motion capture and how amazing the actors and actresses are, and oh fuck, the game's gonna be incredible. And like 4 straight years of just that over and over again. Finally, a release date. It's coming out May 21st of this year, pretty soon actually, which means they're likely actually going to release it on that date. That's close enough to have me believe there won't be any delays for that. And then we're going to finally see if this is truly the masterpiece that they've been cooking, or if they've just been fluffing our shit for the last 4 years, and we'll find out soon enough. It feels like Xbox hasn't been able to really put anything going or get anything going in Japan since the 360 era. You'll remember Mr. Black back in the day. They tried to make a push where they had like Blue Dragon, which was some of the Dragon Ball art team was on that game. Lost Odyssey, and a few others. They had a big run, trying desperately to break into Japan, and it's like they just gave up. They're like, fuck it. And we never saw any of those games make a comeback, no other real major attempts. And then the Xbox One era, Don Matrix said, Japan who? And now here we are again. Xbox is trying to maybe make a little bit of a move to get more of a foothold in a spot where they just can't seem to break into. And we're getting it in the form of the first Mana game in 15 years. This one is called Visions of Mana, which is launching this summer, and is coming to the Xbox as well as the PC. And as I said, this is the first entry in the series in some 15 years. Did you play the SNES Mana stuff? Do you have Legend of Mana back there?
Yeah, I have it, but I haven't played them.
I played the SNES one. Oh god, when was that? That was a couple years ago now. Somebody finally convinced me, like, just go play it, because I hadn't played it before, and they were like, it's one of the greatest games ever made. And I was like, well, fuck me, I better play it then. And I played it, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is one of the greatest games ever made. I don't know if it is. I mean, maybe it just didn't age all that well, but all right. However, we're getting this, and I gotta be honest, what we saw for this one is it basically just looks like a pretty generic, cel-shaded, open-world JRPG-ish thing. It looked like it was approaching Genshin Impact visuals, but less cel-shaded. I don't know how else to describe it. Either way, will this sell Xboxes in Japan? No.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Probably not. It might sell a couple, but like Japan is almost checked out of everything in general except for like Nintendo at this point and a couple of PlayStations. Then we got the next entry into the 4X genre, and headed up by X Civilization folks. Ara History Untold is coming this fall, which means it's coming in 2025. And I mean, it looked like Civilization. So if you like Civilization, you're into 4X, more stuff is coming. You'll be able to enjoy another series in the genre. And then lastly, and this one would have been a surprise if it wasn't semi-leaked or full-on leaked in a couple of different instances in the last calendar year, we got a relatively extensive look at Machine Games' Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is launching this fall, which means, again, probably 2025. This is, again, Machine Games of Wolfenstein fame, the more recent new Wolfenstein games. Which means they are definitely prepared for this game because they specialize in punching Nazis in the face. That's kind of their entire fucking shtick. Wolfenstein, all they had to do was replace, what's his name, BJ Blazkowicz or whatever his name is with Harrison Ford. Boom. Indiana Jones. Add in a moving boulder. Bob's your uncle. It looks exactly, I say that because it looks exactly like Wolfenstein, except they have Harrison Ford in there and as Indiana Jones doing his thing. Did I say Harrison Jones earlier?
No, I think you said Harrison Ford.
Did I? Okay, good. Thank God.
I've done that. You know what? If you said Harrison Jones, it's okay. It's all right.
I feel like that's a Warcraft meme too. Harrison Jones it's a thing that was like a joke. And then that was it for the direct. It was kind of a yawn. It was a prolonged yawn. Nothing particularly exciting, which is kind of just par for the course for Xbox. And so it's not shocking then that they would follow last week up with 1,900 layoffs this week, announced today, across their entire Xbox division, although the majority of this, of course, is centered around the Activision Blizzard acquisition. So Activision Blizzard is taking, I would imagine, the bulk of the cuts here. So of the 22,000 employees that are currently under the gaming division at Microsoft and Xbox, as I said, 1,900 will be let go, including for Blizzard's side, Mike Ibarra. He's no longer going to be there at the company. And as per usual, which has been kind of the way that things have gone here for the last couple of years in the industry, most of the people that are getting fired are finding out about all this happening via social media. Before they're even notified by the company, they're logging in and they're seeing that like Microsoft is laying off 1,900 people, and so it's just everyone in the company sitting around waiting to find out if they're one of the people that are keeping their job or if they're being laid off. I don't know why this keeps happening, but my God, they are bad at fucking doing this shit. I don't know why it's so difficult, but they struggle with it. No, further than that, Riot also announced substantial layoffs this week. But what people have been pointing out is the stark difference between the severance packages that these layoffs are getting between Microsoft and Riot specifically. So while Riot is providing an absolutely substantial package and you can see the list, they've listed this online. A substantial package that includes stuff like 6 months of pay, healthcare continuation for that 6 months, equity in the company carries over. They get to keep and manage their equity that they had in the company, a computer to help them find more work if needed, so a new laptop, career support, visa support if there was somebody that was here on some form of work visa, and more. The list actually goes on from there. Meanwhile, Phil Spencer in his announcement when he put it out today said, he said two things that stood out to me that were just really unfortunate and not something that I'm used to, Phil Spencer holding such a massive L, but not that he was the one that made this decision, I'm sure. But he said that Microsoft will be providing severance packages up to local law standards, which means they're giving the absolute legal minimum to anyone that's getting cut at Microsoft, and not a penny more. Good day, sir. And then he followed that up with good luck to everyone affected, which is what he had at the end. It's like, I know he means well, but good luck is not the phrase to use at the end of that fucking message. That's harsh. That's like, here, take the absolute legal minimum, go fuck yourself. It's just
good luck.
like,
You'll need it.
So, that was a little fucking rough to watch for sure. Now, obviously, with this is a combination of two things. This is layoffs happening the same that it's happening everywhere else, in conjunction with layoffs happening from a merger, which always happens anyway. Because there's always going to be overlap between the two companies. And when you're dealing with like 22,000 plus people, you can lose 1,900 people and in a normal merger, let alone with like the way the market is right now, where everyone's losing work to begin with. So really shitty, fucking awful, especially given that Riot is obviously taking care of their people way better than Microsoft is. But shitty, but not surprising, I guess, on all counts. Both that they're happening, and also I'm not shocked that Microsoft is being incredibly stingy after having just spent $72 billion fucking dollars on this buyout. They couldn't afford a couple months of severance pay for the fucking employees. They're like, all right, $72 billion here, $500 million for Bobby Kotick. Good luck to everyone else. Get fucked. Get the fuck out of here. It's so shit. So yeah, highly unfortunate to say the least, and in much the same way that Phil said, honestly, good luck to those who are affected, because you need it if you're finding out via social media that shit's coming. That is brutal. Beyond that, here we go. All right, so PalWorld. This is the one that's been basically commanding all the attention on social media, all the attention on YouTube, all the attention everywhere. Fucking hell, just everyone is talking about and playing PalWorld at the moment. That's what it feels like. And they just seem to keep getting more and more steam behind them. No pun intended. as this continues to rock just about all the charts at the moment. So PalWorld, we actually first found out about this game, and there were many memes about it back when they had their first trailer a couple years back. Like, I want to say this was like 2 years ago. It might have even been 3 at this point. And it was literally labeled immediately Pokemon with guns, because that's essentially what the trailer was, is Pokemon with guns. And the reality is that is what it is in the current form. It's Pokemon with guns. Survival game. So, everyone, I was aware of the game for sure, and I knew it was coming. And I had semi-forgotten about it, because when I saw that first trailer years ago, I thought to myself, and I probably even said it out loud a few times, I said, there's no fucking way. There's no shot that this actually gets to release. There is no universe in which the most litigious fucking gaming company on the planet that partially owns Pokemon and protects that brand with everything that they've got is going to allow Pokemon with guns to get off the ground. Well, here we are. They did. and whether they thought it was going to be a flop or not, well, it's not. And any hope of them being able to make anything legal out of this, other than maybe some similarities that they could argue over some character models, they're pretty fucked at this point. They're not going to be able to move on it very much. And so now all they have to do is sit back, and PalWorld has to make sure that when they have mods, Pokemon's not involved, so that they don't get sued into the ground for supporting mods that have Pokemon in the game, which has already happened, and Nintendo Legal moved in and removed the mods immediately, because the guy was dumb enough to charge money for them. Can you imagine the fucking sack on an individual, knowing how fucking on the trigger happy Nintendo and Pokemon Co. are for suing or takedown notices, and go, you know what? I'm gonna wake up today, I'm gonna choose violence, I'm gonna fucking have Pokemon mods for PalWorld and charge money for that shit. What was the game plan? What was the end game there? Were they thinking, oh, this will be fine? They're not gonna come after me.
Make a ton of money very quickly before it gets shut down. That's it.
Holy shit. Anyway, so that's gone. So the game is out. I'm sure everyone has heard about it at this point, but if you haven't, I'll give you the briefest of rundowns. If you wanted to say Pokemon with guns, you wouldn't be far off. But the reality of the situation is that it is at its core a survival game. So it is like its Ark would probably be the closest comparison of all the survival genre. So it's more like Pokemon Ark, guns. That's kind of what you have. And as it turns out, if you do that, and the game is even remotely competent and doesn't fall apart at the seams, a lot of people would like to play that. as it turns out. Not shocking, because, I mean, Mr. Black, I'm sure even you have seen it for years, having played some Pokemon games yourself. How long have people been asking for proper open world Pokemon, just as that alone? Big map, open world, Pokemon out in the wild. How people ask it forever. We got that sort of with the last game and a half that Game Freak put out. Here's the problem. Those games were fucking goddamn terrible. They look like shit. They run like ass. As Pokemon games, they weren't even that good. So if you're just comparing them amongst other Pokemon games, they were bad. And now here comes this relatively small dev crew that at the time, for an artist, was hiring like some kid that was working part-time at a local bodega that just did some artwork on the side. And now they've got this absolute monster on their hands, no pun, because look, all you have to do is, like, they did an interview and they were like, listen, we're not trying to be unique. They just said it outright. They're like, we're not in this to make a unique game. We want to make a fun game. That's our goal. Is the game fun? And how often have we said on this podcast for years, what do people want, Mr. Black?
They want good games.
They just want good games. Good
That's
games
it.
are typically fun. That's all they want. Do they give a shit that there are some models in this game that look strikingly similar to Pokemon games? No.
No, they don't care.
No, of course they don't give a
don't
fuck.
care.
You know what they care about? They care about the fact that they finally have the vision of riding on the back of legally distinct fucking like Palgia as they fly across a 16 by 16, like a 16 square kilometer fucking massive map, catching other Pokemon that you can also and it's full rails off. Like you can catch other trainers for fuck's sake. You can butcher the trainers for their flesh if you're a cannibal. Like you can do damn near anything in this bitch. And so everyone's like, holy fuck, finally. And it's really a sign of like what has Game Freak and Nintendo left on the table for like 20 years. Because
Well, they ain't gonna leave it on the table anymore.
well, I hope not. That was my question, because
mean-
I've been yapping this whole time. I want to ask you, Mr. Black, because you stopped in, you saw it, and I'm sure you've seen it on your timeline too. You have a pretty decent idea of what the game is. Do you see Game Freak and Nintendo? I mean, I'm sure they knew that it would be successful if they did it themselves, but they didn't do it. And we could talk about those reasons, I'm sure. But do you think that Nintendo will and Game Freak will pay attention to this and actually use it themselves? Or do you think that they're just going to continue to truck on because they said they tend to sell 20 million copies anyway? Or does this change the game? What do you think?
I don't think we're gonna get them to go all the way to where PalWorld is, but I think we're gonna get a medium way. So I think we're gonna see an iteration of Pokemon that is open world, survival like, but still keeping the same tropes that they normally have. It'll be much more linear, but it will feel open. I think that they're gonna do that. They almost have to, because they basically got a big dick, the new big dick. So like they have to. They can't ignore this, right? And they can't sue their way out of this. Like this is real now. And you know, they have to like publicly acknowledge the game? No, I don't think they're gonna say, you know, oh, congratulations, PalWorld, you know, blah blah blah. They ain't gonna do any of that. They're not gonna say, oh, you know, we're changing up our game because of the success of PalWorld. I think what they'll say is, hey, you guys been wanting this thing. We've actually been working on this already, even though they probably haven't been. And they'll come out with some sort of middle ground. There won't be guns. It's it's too Pokemon.
Of course
is too
not.
PG.
I don't even
Right,
think
they'll
people
do-
wanted the guns necessarily. They're just there.
No.
They're just there.
You know, you'll get a similar experience, but it won't be as in depth. It'll be much more basic, and it'll be much more successful because it's the Pokemon name, and they're gonna figure out a way to make it even more casual. Because PalWorld can be pretty in depth. I've been watching a bit of it.
Late game can
and it's
get
cool.
a little bit like the Factorio almost, where like
Yeah.
the production lines and all that stuff. Yeah, it can get a little bit
Yeah.
more in depth. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and it's tough. It's like, you know, it can be like Dark Souls bad at, you know, depending on where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think what Freak will do is that they'll create their own spin on it, and it'll be very successful. And I think that this is good overall, not only for gamers because it's fun, but it's also gonna force Pokemon to finally innovate to some degree, because nobody has like stepped in the ring and challenged Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? And actually, you know, knocked him down. And Pokemon took a knockdown here. But Pokemon's still Mike Tyson. He's gonna get up. And he's gonna get up and he's gonna knock somebody the fuck out, right? And you know, Pokemon is not in a place where, you know, Mike Tyson is in jail. You know, he's on a downswing. He's all fucked up. You know, his career, the best is behind him. I fully believe that Pokemon is going to be here far longer than PalWorld ever will be. It's an absolute massive success. I mean, these guys became, you know, a bagillionaires overnight. And it was simply from the fact that they tapped into something that Pokemon fans, specifically people our age,
Yeah, the older demographic, yeah.
right? The millennials that have matured some, quite a bit since being kids, but yet we still, have nostalgia for Pokemon, and we still have those childlike thrills that Pokemon, the innocence that Pokemon has, but like just tapping into more of a mature way to deliver the content. And that's what PalWorld is. And PalWorld is still in like beta. It's not even
this is early access.
It's early, bro. It's early. And now they have all the money in the world to continue to hire a bunch of people, make the game even better, listen more intensely to what's going on, and they probably have 2 years before there's any type of real competition for what they are doing with the whole pocket monster type, content that they're making. There are tons of other survival games out there that mimic sort of what they're doing, but without the Pokemon or the pals they call them. But I still think they've got a solid 2 years. And not only that, now you're going to see a bunch of other indie devs, not just from the Pokemon side, like Nintendo side, but you're going to get a bunch of these spawned out creature-like things, and we'll see where it goes. But they're in a great position. So to answer your question, yes, I think Freak is going to do something. They have to, right?
Yeah, so they did put out they didn't mention it by name, but when the game came out, the first thing that happened was every Nintendo knobschlobber, the Glock 9000 Nintendo fans, went absolutely fucking scorched earth on social media. People were just coming up with shit out of nowhere, like saying that they had used artificial intelligence to generate like assets and shit with zero fucking proof of any of that happening. And then they tried to prove that they were using like the same meshes, and then in so doing discovered that they weren't using the same meshes. They were just like, they're finding out that
angry, bro.
Pokemon's got there's 1,000 goddamn Pokemon. They're based on real animals and mythological things, etc. They don't have license over all of this shit. They don't have license over mini penguin bro with fucking cute buttons on. Like, that's not something that they have like any legal standing for. And beyond that, what people were also discovering as this went on, because everyone ended up getting like catching strays. Digimon was catching strays for a while and shit, because Pokemon fans were just like, and it was just fucking firing rounds in every direction, just super angry. And then somebody somebody put up the image of Dragon Quest monsters and Pokemon, and they went, oh. I hate to tell you, Pokemon wasn't the first to do a lot of this shit. They were just the most popular and has sustained it. That's the difference between them. They didn't invent the magical fox character. Like that's not a thing that they invented.
It reminds me of like, if somebody, there are Disney families, right? Like, so like,
yes,
like there are families out there that are so hardcore about going to Disney World. And I think we talked
about this like a couple podcasts ago. Yeah.
That they wear the little bunny ears.
Oh yeah.
They spend 20 grand.
It's their personality, bro.
That's what it is, dude. They become this like magical being of like this, like, it's like this fantasy that they and hey, by all means, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. I'm not judging you, but what it's like, it's like if you go to Disney, right? You stand in line for hours, you pay $1,000 a day to like fucking have your family out there to go on 6 rides and eat, a couple of meals, and then you spend everything, and what I've been hearing is Disney's getting worse and worse in terms of service, and the quality of everything's going down, the prices are going up. So it's like a new theme park comes to Florida, and it's on the other side somewhere, and instead of
Harry Potter Ville or whatever they call it there. I don't know what the fuck they call it. It's some other wizardry. And instead of Mickey Mouse, you've got Mini Rat. And instead of fucking, Universal Studios, you've got, I don't even know, Galaxy Studios. I don't fucking know. You go there, the rides are similar, it kind of looks the same, but it's half the price. The
quality's better.
The quality's better. Yeah. The rides aren't broken.
Yeah.
The lineups are much less. Instead of $1,000 a day, you're spending $200. The energy is different. It's new, but it's familiar. And it's to be the same thing as if these Disney World lovers, they would do the same thing to whatever world this other thing is, and they'd be like, well, this is a copy off this, and you guys, and they would lose their minds. And that's what's happening here. And you know what it is? Those people are just salty that Freak didn't come out and do the thing before these guys did. Because if it was Pokemon and they came out with the same thing, I mean, holy fuck, the game would be, could you imagine?
Oh yeah.
The game would be beyond big. It would,
bro.
Dude, look what this thing is. This thing has sold like 7 million copies. It came out of nowhere. Nobody knows what the fuck this was. So, and where's it going to be in another 3 months? You going to double it, triple it, quadruple it?
Bro,
Listen, don't listen to the haters, man. They can go fuck off somewhere. People are enjoying it. Let them have fun.
And this is I think probably one of the best examples of the squeaky wheel on Twitter. Nobody fucking cares. The fact that they continue to sell about 1 million copies a day tells you that your opinion
doesn't matter.
Does not matter. Nobody cares if you think, with zero proof, by the way. Like, it's one thing if you have actual evidence that they are stealing directly, asset flip some shit, that's a different animal entirely. But if you're just gonna go out there bitch and whine about it, get mad at Nintendo and Game Freak. Be upset with them that they're not doing this. Why is it that a team with like 1/100th the budget and 1/100th the manpower,
1/100th
or less,
10,000th,
turn around? This is a group that didn't even have version control. They were saving the game daily on buckets of USB stick drives. That's the type of people that put this game together. And you've got the most valuable intellectual property in the world. Cranking out. I want you, if you don't remember what Sword and Shield and then like Scarlet Violet look like visually, please take 3 seconds.
It's horrible.
To just go look. And I know it's running on the Switch, but then put it on another platform. Do you know how much money? I have a question for you, Mr. Black, just so that I don't keep fucking talking and getting my blood pressure up. Here's a question for you. Do you think that Game Freak and Pokemon have made more money locking their shit on Nintendo, and that Nintendo owning about half of the Pokemon game side has made more money through console sales because they have Pokemon exclusively? Do you think that that's more lucrative? Or do you think that if they had multi-platformed this bitch years ago, that the increase in sales would have outpaced that astronomically?
Astronomically. It's not even, I mean, that's just obvious. I mean, you put that shit out on PC, you put it out on consoles.
Oh my god.
Outside of boys, gals.
How many PS4s were in the wild? 130, 140 million? Something like that?
The amount of printing of money. I mean, they already print money, but they would be extra print. It would just be print.
And if they do that, you know what happens? They can up the fucking graphics elsewhere, and they can do more shit. They can have more. But you know what? Here's a hot take for you. I don't think they got it in them. I don't think they got that dog in them, Mr. Black. I think that most of the people still making Pokemon games are the guys and gals that have been there leading it anyway, and by a large portion, knowing how Japanese companies, game companies work, many of them are the same people that were there making Pokemon Green back in the 90s. Same people. I don't think some of these people are really all that fluent in 3D game design. I think that's part of the problem. And so when they finally transferred over into the world of 3D, and they still have to keep pace with this stupid schedule so that they can keep up with the trading card game and the animated series on television all at the same time, to the point where they're releasing 2 full fucking Pokemon games in a single calendar year, it's impossible. They're going to be shit. And then you put that on a console powered by something half as strong as my current cell phone, you got a problem. It's gonna, you not only are you constrained pretty dramatically visually, but now like mechanically you're gonna have issues. It took like the team that did The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where all these crazy mechanics and all this other shit were, the magic that they had to pull off to get the game to run at 4.5 frames per second is not something that the Pokemon team have access to. They don't have that time. They don't have 6 years, 7 years to develop a game. They have 6 months. Like, they don't have any time. So, like, all this shit is just, as far as I'm concerned, is a mixture of they don't have the people that are knowledgeable enough to do it, don't want to bring in enough new people that do know how. Everyone's protecting their jobs. I'm Mr. Pokemon, I'm Mrs. Pokemon. Then you tack on top of that, like I just mentioned, the schedule of trying to keep up with the trading card game and the animated series, because if you watch cyclically, they all happen in this same fucking rotating manner to keep up with one another. So they fuck the timeline up there. And then the last piece of the fucking puzzle is that it does not seem to matter what they do, they will sell 20 million copies. And so my hope, and that last piece is the most important piece, right? So my hope is that PalWorld and whatever derivatives will invariably spin off of PalWorld because of its success will finally force them to do shit that will fix some of these problems and actually get them to not, we can't even call it innovate. Update. Let's call it update, because it ain't innovating. It'll be updating at this point, because otherwise they're selling 20 million copies of pop. So what's their incentive?
Well, they have to now. They have to now. They got punched in the face and they knocked down Mike Tyson, and the whole world is seeing it. They have to now. Now they have to do something. Like before, it's kind of like a lot of rappers, right? And they diss Eminem. Eminem would be like, whatever. And then Machine Gun Kelly came and dissed Eminem. And the whole world was like, bro, you can't let this one slide. He came too correct. This is too serious. You can't let somebody say your beard is weird, bro. No, you can't. You can't do that. And not only that, not even just your beard is weird, bro. He went in on him more than anybody else has ever done.
He pulled up his daughter's name again, which is always a bold move.
Dude, he did everything. Him, his daughter, him, his bitterness, called out He threw some facts at him about some of the shit Eminem was doing. I mean, it was real.
Yeah.
So what did Eminem have to do? Eminem had to go, okay, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't. Like, I'm rich as fuck. I'm old. Leave me the fuck alone. But everyone's like, no, bro. No, because you can't let this slide. You can't hold this L. So it's the same thing. This developer here is Machine Gun Kelly. And he said, yo, Pokemon, yo, Game Freak, your games suck. And I didn't even have to tell you your games suck. I just made one that's better. Oh, and it's pretty much the same shit you do, except we changed some names. Instead of Pokemon, they're pals. Instead of Pikachu, this is like Peekaboo. So what you gonna do? So Game Freak pretty much has to, at this point, they have to actually, they have 2 options here. Option number 1, they make, which is the option I think they're gonna go with, is they make a game that has elements that PalWorld has, but it's not a derivative completely from it. They cannot copy it, because if they do, then it's going to be, everyone's going to go, oh, Game Freak, you're trying to make PalWorld, but PalWorld does it better, and PalWorld doesn't have to abide by certain guidelines that Pokemon has to with their shows, their movies, the how old of a demographic they have, because PalWorld's demographic is older than Pokemon's. It just is. Yeah, there's some younger generation that play it for sure, but like, let's be real here. The majority of people playing it are in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's just the way it is. Pokemon, you've got my son playing that shit. My son isn't going to be playing PalWorld, right? It's just not. It's not for him. So they have to basically take elements of that to shut up the naysayers that, or the fact speakers that are like, bro, we've been telling y'all to do this shit forever and a day, and now they finally going to do it. And not only do they have to do it, but they have to do it well, because they can't do it worse than PAL, because then it's going to backfire, and then people are going to be like, oh, you dumb motherfuckers, you should have stayed in your lane. You should have stayed. You should have done what you were good at, right? So they have to do that. Or the other one, which they won't do, I guarantee it, but the only other thing they can do is buy PalWorld out. Buy them completely. I own you. Now, what we're not going to do is, we're not going to do Pokemon, but we're going to aid you in fucking whatever it is that you want to do, and then you go out there and you make the fucking craziest version of whatever you can, and we're going to learn from you. We're going to have some people in our studio go over there, vice versa, and either buy it out, destroy it, or buy it out and make it big, and then that way they just stay in their Pokemon lane and they own both an adult version. But they're not going to do that. I already know they're not going to do that. So they have to go with option number one, or they're getting punked. Machine Gun Kelly is here, and Machine Gun Kelly said, yo, bitch, I might have a man bun, but like, bro, I'm calling you out. You got to do something. Ball's in your court. So it's up to them.
I hope that they do clap back, that unlike Machine Gun Kelly, they don't have to like go and do weird fucking punk rock for a while, because that was awkward. That was a fucking bad turn.
Made a lot of money doing that.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah.
It's a huge album. That was big.
Yeah.
How?
It was so bad. How?
He did big. He did big numbers.
Dude, music is in shambles. I heard Jack Harlow number one fucking track right now on the radio, despite the fact that his album sold like fucking 3 copies, and I'm so confused. I'm lost. I don't know where I'm at. Fuck me. But yeah, so here's my last take on PalWorld before we move on. So I'll say this, and Jeff mentioned this to a degree in the midst of all this, but here's how I see it. This is a small team. They are making a lot of money. It's early access. There's a couple of things that I'm a little concerned about, for sure, and I'm sure they are as well. When you get this level of success, and it's this public about how many copies you sold, how much money's coming in, they're self-published. They're not even cutting a publisher in. They're making, other than Steam's cut, they're making a ton of money, right?
All of it.
So when that happens, nobody cares that you have a relatively small team. Nobody cares that there was no way any one of them would have been able to imagine that in 6 days they sold 8 million copies. Nobody was sitting there going, yeah, this is going to pop up 8 million copies in 6 days. And so the enormity of the project to be able to expand hires, grow the company in size in a way that is not just sustainable to a degree, but also doesn't like derail the whole fucking project and become like its own thing, while also trying to balance bug fixing that everyone's experiencing versus feature production and new stuff. Because this game only been out for like a fucking week, and it's in early access, and people are already screaming for new fucking content. And these guys have just got all this money, all this attention. The servers are on fire 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because again, and you know what's scary? You know what's crazy to me? So just the other stat here. Earlier today or yesterday, they are officially the number 2 all-time concurrent on Steam, behind PUBG. at over 2 million players. PUBG still the outlier that makes no sense. It's 3.2 million fucking people that were playing that game at the time. And that was before it was free to play. PUBG was also $30 at the time when it hit that 3.2 schmil. So they're setting records all over the place. And that's over 2 million people. Well, this game is on Game Pass, bro. So like if you imagine if it was only on Steam, like fuck me, they probably would have broken fucking PUBG by now. That being said, people don't really understand. All they see is that they have money now, and they think that they can snap their fingers and the servers just spin up and they work and everything's fine. Or they think that they just like hire 5 more people and then by next week all the bugs are fixed. Or they hire like 30 people because they got $200 million now, they can do that. And then they've got like a brand new island with 50 more pals and fucking all these new building options, and they fixed all the pathing issues and all this and they think, like I've seen people are like, obviously we have to give them time, but I'd like to see this done, hopefully they get this done in 1 to 2 months. And you're like,
yeah, but dude, all that is though, I'm not concerned about that.
I'm concerned for them about it because it's a lot of stress, right?
I'm not. All because those people are just excited. They're no-lifing this game. They're putting in 20 hours a day. They're reaching end game content, and they just want more. What they have right now is something special because unlike most alpha games or beta games or whatever early access early access is there is a large portion of people that are rooting for this game to be a massive success, which it already is.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, and because they are a direct competitor to Pokemon, even though they may not have intended that to be, like, they didn't want to probably go to war with Pokemon, but they probably knew a war was coming. Like, they're not stupid. It's Nintendo, right? So I think ultimately what they have going for them is people's hate for what Game Freak has done, and thus and they're rooting against Game Freak so bad because they have been yelling from the hilltops that this is what they've wanted for the last decade plus, that I actually think that PalWorld has an extra bit of grace, period. That they have the ability to take their time. You're always going to have yappers, especially when you've sold 7 million copies in a fucking week. In 2 months, it'll be 20 million, right? This shit's just on fire. You're going to have that. But PalWorld, what they need to do is they just need to stay focused. They need to follow their own path, not listen to the noise, right? Take the noise into consideration, but don't let it force their hand. And they also know that in its current form, that there are quite literally like 1 million new people a day downloading this game. Yeah. And so they got to understand that, there's going to be a lot of people that want more shit, but every day, new people coming in, 500,000 people are coming in and experiencing this for the first time. So there's no real rush. It's been 6 days or whatever it's been. It's not like it's been 6 months, right? People just need to pump the brakes. They're putting lots of hours into it, no life in the fuck out of it. And obviously it's a huge social media phenomenon as well. Like YouTube content's blowing up. Everybody, it's like a whole new Minecraft wave. It's this new fucking thing. And they're gonna be fine. Obviously, with this success, they're not dumb. They've got to hire people. And they got to hire good people. Yeah. And they need to get to work. Like their job is now just beginning. They could fuck off. They could finish this game, slap something together, and say, okay, PalWorld, we're done that. We've made our money. Now some big publisher is gonna say, hey, you want to make PalWorld 2? Or do you want to make the next iteration under a huge conglomerate? You let us worry about the marketing. You let us worry about all the shit. You just bring your expertise. We're going to throw your name on there from the creators of PalWorld. Now we've got this. They might do that too. I don't know. But if they were smart, they stay in their lane. They make this survival open world shit. They cash in big. They're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they fucking ride off in the sunset.
Oh, this is what I said on my stream day before yesterday. I said, look, the play here, what I hope they do is they Hello Games No Man's Sky it. They have something here. The groundwork is there. Like, the bones are there, they're good. They've sold a shitload of copies. People are interested. They know it's early access. They're in a lane that not many people are in. They're pretty much alone. So like you said, they've got time. And now they also have some money. My hope is that for them, they've already released a roadmap for two things, short-term and long-term. And my hope is that they look at this and go, okay, we could. If you look over at Sean and Hello Games No Man's Sky, they took that game and turned a game that could have been, like you were just mentioning, it could have been a game that they finished and walked away from in a couple of years. Or they could do what No Man's Sky has done and said, look, this is the game that's going to make our development house last a really long time.
Yep.
And we could cash out on this shit, or we could have PalWorld be a 10-year-long investment. Easily, this is an Unreal Engine 5 game. Easily 10 years, just like No Man's Sky. No fucking questions asked. Add content, keep it going, and people will keep coming back and buying it and revisiting it like they do with No Man's Sky in waves and make a bunch of money each time.
Oh, the DLCs that they could come out with this shit, bro.
Oh.
I mean,
new islands, new pals,
exactly.
PvP.
Hey, for $4.99, you can buy this and you can get all of this fucking shit. You got 20 million players, fucking 10 million of them buy. I mean, this is money printing. They're, it can get crazy. It can get crazy. Merchandise, you name it. I mean, it can get big, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that's all there is to her. It's crushing it right now. My assumption, by the way, is that if they are going to beat PUBG's record on Steam, the one day that I think, or the one weekend that they have, is this coming weekend. Because this is the peak. You know, I think they will always be able to hit 1-2 million for quite some time, but to hit 3.2 million plus is a huge fucking thing. They've got 8 million, they'll have 9-10 million by tomorrow. The sale ends tomorrow, so they're pushing that in marketing, the 10% off. I think that if it's going to happen, it's like tomorrow or Saturday, and then after that, we're going to hit this constant 1 million, whatever the fuck. But if they do it, I never thought I'd see the day. I certainly didn't think this would be the one to do it, but like PUBG was 3.2, and then the next closest one was like 1.6 or some shit, or like 1.8. Like the gap was enormous, so I didn't think that it was ever going to happen. Now here we are. There you go. So we'll wait and see. The last piece for gaming news, just a little fast news stuff, the stuff I can just rattle off and you guys can investigate yourself if you're interested in. Smite 2 got announced. That's right. I knew nobody gave a fuck, but I thought I'd put it in there anyway. Why in the fuck are they making Smite 2? That's like some Overwatch 2 type shit. Like, what the fuck are they making Smite 2 for?
It's the only game that they have in their roster that like people kind of play.
That's true. They dropped the ball. They had other opportunities, but they are the kings of dropping the fucking bag every time. Daggerfall Unity. So Daggerfall being the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, has been a big project to convert the entire game into the Unity engine, which allows the game to be played obviously much more easily on modern hardware, PCs. That is done and released for $0. And so if you've never played Daggerfall before and you're a fan of the Elder Scrolls and you wanted to dip your toes in the water, then that is available for you to now go and check out. And then we got Rock Band 4, this is a crazy stat as well to me, and just, I think, marking another, like the proper end of an era until this comes back around, and I'm sure the Plastic Instruments will eventually come back around. But after 8 years of continuous DLC releases, and I think it's like 15 years if you include the other games where they haven't had like a break in putting like downloadable tracks and stuff on a basically consistent basis. The final DLC for Rock Band 4 is being released today. And then they will be wrapping up that whole thing. There's over 3,000 songs for Rock Band 4 at this point. Fucking huge! And of course, aptly, some of the tracks they've chosen to be the last ones include tracks like Thank You and Send Me On My Way. So they put little messages in the end there in the tracks that they selected. And well done. Fucking A. Jesus. Hey, that's a long time to support that shit. Not very many games get that level of support, let alone something as niche as Rock Band for that long. Part of me, I wouldn't play it now, but part of me misses that era where the plastic instrument memes, the rock bands, the Guitar Hero, because, you know, it was a fucking good time. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
For sure. I think as soon as they started to get, like, try to get too realistic with it, like bridging the gap between, like, actual instrument and the games, at that point I was like, I just want 4 buttons and a fucking little thing to, like, I don't need to, like, I'm not trying to be Les Paul here. I just want a fucking plastic guitar. Don't complicate it. But yeah, there you go. 8 years done and dusted, and just like that, so is our gaming section, which means Mr. Black's time to tell the fine folks at home about how they can support the podcast and our sponsor.
Patreon.com/LegTV. Head on over there, throw money at the screen if you want to do that. If not, that's cool. You can go ahead and grab NordVPN. Click on that link in the description of the video, or you can head on over to www.nordvpn.com/OTT. The promo code should automatically be applied, and get yourself a 2-year subscription, man. Save big, get 4 extra months that come with it. So that brings down your monthly average. It's only a few dollars a month, less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month. You can use up to 6 simultaneous devices while you're using this, and it's available to use on your iOS, your Android, your Mac, your PC, your laptop, your iPad, your smart TV. You can hook it up to virtually anything and everything to stay safe and anonymous when you're on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. It's really that easy. It doesn't require any programming or anything like that. My dad uses NordVPN, and he is quite literally technologically impaired. I don't know if he can do more than go on Google. He's the type of guy that when he is typing on his phone, each character is the font of 22. So there's 3 words that are shown on the screen at one time, and he can use it. Okay? It's that easy. All right? Sorry, Dad. I know I'm throwing you on the bus, but hey, it's just the reality of it. But yeah, the server's fantastic. They work all the time. You can game on them. You can stream on them, game and stream at the same time. I do it. And you can also use their desktop app and run a thing called threat protection in the background, where you do not have to be connected to a VPN, but it will monitor your PC to make sure that there's no malware. It will detect and remove it, along with letting you know when there is a malicious website, things like that. Just gives you that extra layer of protection, guys. It's 2024. What are you waiting for? All right. I mean, I've been saying this stuff for years. Shit's getting crazier out there. The internet's a wild place. Stay safe, guys. Use NordVPN, and think of us when you do it. Use that promo code, and that's that. That's it.
I just gotta toss this out here because randomly just spotted it. But the 23andMe, that like DNA fucking whatever, where you can get like info based on your DNA and all that shit. Yeah. So apparently they got hacked through April through September of 2023 without recognizing they were being hacked. And so there's like 14,000 plus compromised accounts, which means all those people that were crazy enough to give a massive company their DNA to begin with, which was already fucking insane to me. I can't even imagine. Like, I mean, it's one thing that they might know where you live and your phone number, but to literally give them your DNA in this day and age sounds fucking bonkers. 14,000 of them. That shit's now floating around in the black market. Have fun. Good luck. What? You're fucked. You're so fucked. They're so...
Just sprinkle some DNA on a crime scene real quick. Like, yeah, here you go. Sally from New Hampshire.
You're absolutely fucked, Sally. Good luck. Now it's time for...
Tech support.
Nope.
Movies and TV.
There we go. Adam Sandler stops being a meme lord for just long enough to star in Spaceman, which looks like a trip show and definitely another good example of Sandler having dramatic chops. I'm sure there's enough people now that are young enough and just don't know that Adam Sandler is actually a very good actor if you didn't see Uncut Gems to be reminded of that. He's like most comedic actors. If you put them in a dramatic role, they're typically really fucking good in dramatic roles. I don't know if you saw the trailer for this yet, Mr. Black. But it's an art house typey deal. Looks really good. Nominated for some film festival award type situation, like that kind of deal. Centers around a man, as the title would imply, sent out in space by himself for research purposes, and the psychosis that comes with that, and some other mystical, magical stuff that'll let people go and fucking find out for themselves and see the trailer. But it looks good, and I'm down for it, man. I'm never down on Adam Sandler. The man only has two modes. He goes out and makes banger dramatic films, and then the rest of his time is spent hiring and lifting up all of his friends, paying them lots of money to get into movies and have fun for a couple of months. I mean, if that ain't the definition of winning, I don't even know what the fuck is. I mean, he's on lock, and he's a hell of a basketball player. That man's got fucking, he's got fucking hoop chops on top of that. So I'm down for it, and I will definitely check that movie out when the time comes. One that I might not be able to stomach, unfortunately, is Tron 3, which is finally into production. That one got delayed, obviously, in large part due to the strikes that were ongoing for quite some time. But they have finally gotten that underway. And as I said here in my notes, the downside, so the good news is Tron 3 is in production. The bad news, it still stars Jared Leto.
Yeah, fuck. It just completely ruins the whole vibe, man. I cannot stand Jared Leto. Oh,
that is just, I mean, that if that doesn't get you fucking soft faster than the parents of the girl walking in the room while you're already halfway through, I don't know what will. I mean, that shit, anytime you got Jared Leto attached to a fucking movie, I've checked out so fast. I want to know who decided why.
I don't know how he still gets work.
Morbius, seriously?
He's not even a box office draw.
No.
I actually have no idea what he does.
What does he have on people?
Yeah. And it's not that he's a horrible actor, but he just comes off it's like every scene this dude is in, it's like he's hyper aware that he's in the scene and he thinks he
overacts a lot.
And it's just dude, you're annoying as fuck. There's I can't think of a movie where I'm like, damn, man, Jared Leto just absolutely crushed that role. I can't wait to see another Jared Leto film. He's just this guy that just won't go away from Hollywood. It's just leave these films alone. You are making them worse. There is not I don't know. Who is a fan of this guy? I don't know.
I'm more interested
in Jared Leto.
Who at Disney was like, yes, Jared Leto's the choice for Tron 3?
I don't know what Jared Leto's got on these fucking studios.
They have something.
I don't know. I don't know. Stick to making music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go back to your fucking hair metal band.
Exactly. Dude, I cannot stand Jared Leto. I don't know what it is. I can't even put my finger on it. I can't stand him.
Well, I think it's because he's a pretentious prick.
Yeah.
I think that, and it bleeds into his on-screen roles. I mean, nobody else but Jared Leto, being given the Joker role, would start meowing and purring like a fucking cat for no reason, except for him because he thought it was artistic, when it was really switch a couple letters. I mean, it was. As soon as I saw that, I mean, that was when I was aware of Jared Leto, but when I watched him
fucking dead rats and shit.
Oh my god, dude!
And stuff,
and then being like, "Oh, I'm doing, what is it called? Fucking method acting."
Yeah. No, you know what you are? You're a fucking douchebag.
You're a meth actor, is what you are.
And he looks like he does meth, recreationally. Yes. It looks like he goes on a meth binge 3 times a year for 3 weeks. And then he comes back, and then he I don't fucking know. He's just not my guy. Yeah, I'm all for Tron. I really fucks with Tron a lot. But now, no.
Yeah, he's not a method actor. He's just a meth OD, And on top of that, the fucking the probably, I think what made me laugh more is that whoever's heading this up, I mean, how we went from Tron Legacy to this is blowing my fucking mind. But like, have you seen the fucking the title, like the poster for it yet? Have you seen what they're doing?
Oh.
So they're doing Tron TR3N, which clearly is Tren. So is this like?
Is he on the juice now?
How does nobody know that just reads Tren? Like, why would who is heading this shit up? Who is doing?
Jared Leto's probably on Tren,
Terrible.
for fuck's sake.
Well, he's like fucking 52, isn't he?
Yeah, and he goes to all the UFC events, and they always like zoom in on him, and he's like, and I'm like, dude, Jared Leto, you like, my God. I'll give him one thing. The dude is aging very gracefully. I'll give him that.
He's aging, dude. He looks 35.
Like he literally looks like a vampire.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, I can't stand the dude. So anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Oh. When I saw the trend, I was like, oh, now this is just a meme, bro. Jared Leto and Trent, dude, the internet's gonna go fucking bonkers with those two things by itself. It's gonna be Morbius all over again. It's Morbin time!
No.
In a huge move, WWE Network will be going away, and much of its content is being moved to Netflix of all places. For those outside of the U.S., I think in the U.S. the old like the historic content is going to Peacock, but I'm not 100% on that. Raw live events, so the actual like weekly live events, everyone will be seeing that on Netflix. So
yeah, I think the Peacock ones are SmackDown.
Oh, okay.
I think it's SmackDown. It's either that or it's NBC, or there's a network where SmackDown's going to, but Raw, all of Raw's live events are going to be on Netflix.
Right. And this is a pretty big move. That's going to start, the Raw live event portion is starting in 2025, more or less for everyone. Other markets are being folded in over time, but the majority of the primary markets. The live portion specifically apparently was a $5 billion 10-year deal that will see that Netflix will have an opportunity to opt out 5 years deep if they want. But also after 5 years, they have the ability to extend it by another 10 years if they wish. The Rock is also technically brought in as some form of this deal, or was brought in along the way. He's received his rights to his nickname from the WWE, which I had forgotten he didn't own his nickname.
Yeah,
because
he didn't. But Vince let him do whatever he
let
wanted
him with it. Yeah. But he didn't make it. I don't think he made any money off it. Like, he couldn't make any money off it because the name would still have been underneath. So like he couldn't
I'm pretty
monetize
sure
it.
I'm pretty sure him and Vince had I remember seeing.
Was there
him
some
and
sort
John
of
Cena? Both of them have worked out. They had. I know John Cena for a fact because I watched an interview not long ago where he had worked on a deal with Vince, and Vince just let him. Yeah, Cena, go do your thing. And I think The Rock is similar, but there were limitations to what The Rock could do. But yeah, he got it now, and I mean, that's why he was Dwayne Johnson, right? It wasn't.
Yeah. The Rock. Yeah.
But yeah.
And now he can be, if he so chooses.
I mean,
he's The Rock.
He's The Rock.
He's the fucking Rock. But yeah, he's also on the board of directors now for TKO Group, which is the conglomerate that is now makes up UFC and the WWE. This is a lot. There's been a lot of money in this group being moved around in various places in a very short period of time. I mean, between the merger and now this deal, I mean, we're talking just billions of dollars flying around. So this is a tour de force in entertainment, and really interesting because I don't know how much live content has ever been on Netflix, let alone a weekly segment. And so this is a pretty major move back into what is.
Well, you want to know what I think?
It's cable television.
You know what I think?
What's that?
I think that's where Netflix is going.
They're just going to be their own cable network?
Yes.
Well, that's what everyone.
100%.
That's what everyone's doing. We're just reverting back to cable. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And you know, because what Netflix is going to do, I'm calling it right now. This is the first of many. I believe the UFC will end up on Netflix. I believe a lot. I think, what was it? I think Showtime Boxing just went under. I think that there's going to be big plays. And I think that Netflix is going to get into big live events or weekly live events for premium content to keep people subscribed to that. And it'll be this thing where the ones that want to watch WWE or UFC or whatever sport they have on there, they're going to have that on there. But then they're hopefully going to hook people with some other shows, and you're going to get commercials, all that stuff from the live stuff that's going to be promoting Netflix stuff. And it's going to be right there, and this is where we're going. And I truly, and you can already tell because Netflix, like a lot of them live shows that those shitty reality TV shows I watch, like
Love Island and shit.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Love is Blind and all those things. They also have live shows at the end of each thing. And
yes,
they've
true.
tried to do the whole live thing where then they had some issues with how the broadcasting and stuff. So they've already been doing these things from time to time. Same with the live comedy specials. Chris Rock did one. I'm sure Dave Chappelle. I truly believe that they're not necessarily going to be a cable. Like I don't think there'll be channels that you'll go through where you know something is running. But I think that there will be events. Some that are once a year, twice a year. That is going to show up on Netflix alongside of their VODed stuff. And I think that this right here is the first in many, many big deals that are going to be coming.
I mean, I think between there's wrestling and then there is what is driving cable television. It's like the 45 plus demographic, right? And it's sports, wrestling, and then anything that
daytime TV,
middle-aged women are watching at home. The daytime TV circuit. And that's pretty much propping the whole fucking thing up at this point. And, that's, and it's crazy too. Like it's so wild to me when you look at things like the numbers for Raw, which bring in, they touted, 17.5 million unique, viewers or whatever, in a year. Like that's the number of people watching Raw weekly. And I'm just thinking to myself, coming from content creation side on the internet, 17.5 unique million people is like literally fucking nothing. And yet we've not managed to be able to monetize online nearly as well as cable television, and I still can't quite figure out how the fuck they've managed to pull that off for so long. But like MrBeast should be folding all of these companies like a lawn chair.
Did you not hear about the deal he's about to get?
No, hook me up.
You didn't hear about this?
I don't think so, or maybe I forgot. I forgot about it. Hook me up. What do we got? Hot news.
So MrBeast right now is in negotiations. Let me see here. I'm gonna try and get it right here. Yeah. So he's working on a deal right now with Amazon, to do I think it's a reality show, like a game show, kind of like how he did the Squid Games but MrBeast, and apparently the show right now is he's been offered $100 million for I guess one season, to do that, and then there was another article that I saw that he could be making up to $500 million on a larger deal, but this is being discussed right now.
Wow.
And we should probably hear about it soon. And this is like really new. I think it was on my birthday where this started getting announced. He's obviously been pretty quiet about it and he hasn't denied it. But apparently MrBeast is looking at a really big fucking payday real soon. Dude, MrBeast He's going to be a billionaire in the next 5 years.
He probably could have been. He probably could have been already if it wasn't for the fact that he basically flipped almost all of the money between videos back into the next video.
Correct. I mean, the amount of eyes that this guy gets, he might already be there. I don't know.
It's more than everyone. Like he was like, what do I need? People are like, why don't you advertise? It's like, what do I need? Why am I advertising? I'm bigger than everyone. I have my own products. Yeah. I advertise them on my own shit because it's free. I pay $0 to do it, and I get more eyes than if I were to pay anyone else millions of dollars. Like it's like a Super Bowl. Who the fuck cares? I'm MrBeast. I put out a video, and there's like fucking 150 million people all over the dude's a genius. He's got like 50 different fucking channels in like transcribed in different languages. He's just fucking
printing, bro. He's
printing.
He's printing.
Printing.
I mean, dude, if he endorses any product, it's over. Like he gets more eyes. I would imagine, and I don't know, because I don't have any proof, but I would imagine that MrBeast is probably the most watched content creator on the planet.
Oh, there might be some random Latin American one that like hangs maybe, but even then I don't think so.
I have no idea who.
Across all of his channels, there's no way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like his reach is global. And it's like it's so many millions of people a day. It's actually kind of insane to think about. It's actually insane. Like I don't think a lot of people. I think a lot of people when they think MrBeast, they just think his main channel.
Yeah. Oh,
his other channels.
So
all of
much
the social media clips, the Facebook, the TikTok, the Instagram, the fucking the Twitter. Now he made like $250,000 on an old video he posted just to test out how much Elon will pay him, and he made $250K, and now he's just giving away all of the money on Twitter on an old video that he just threw up on Twitter. $250,000.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he just
get
prints.
A cheat code.
Yeah.
He could literally like make inflation worse in America just from printing money. It's actually crazy.
It's true. Well,
he's gonna get a fucking bag, bro.
Oh,
he's going to get a bag. Like when people think about Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan is massive.
Oh yes.
MrBeast swallows him.
Oh, orders of magnitude, bro. It's not even close.
Like it's not even remotely close. Like magnitude. And if Joe Rogan can get these types of deals, right? And Joe Rogan's like the biggest podcaster on the planet. Like I get it, he's earned it. But like MrBeast, my God, he is like 50 Joe Rogans.
Dude, it's fucking bonkers. And like
it's enough. It's crazy.
So here's my question. Do you think given all this money and being put on this stage now with this whatever this season is, do you think it will pop or do you think it will flop? Do you think he's going to bag it? Yeah, do you think MrBeast do you think he's going to home run it or do you think he's going to fumble it because it's too much pressure? Do you think this is finally going to be the thing that gets him to fold a bit? Because it's going to be similar content to what he does, but it's a different medium. It's a bit of a different ball game. I'm sure that he understands the gravity of the situation for what it means for him and his brand. Breaking out of the YouTube space. And so, do you think he's gonna crush it, or do you think he might fold a bit under the pressure?
I think he's gonna absolutely destroy and crush the living fuck out of this, bro. I think if he signs on the dotted line, he knows what he's getting himself into, and he knows. And you know what? I think what MrBeast will do is, in order for him to do this, he's gonna need to be in almost full control. He's going to say, guys, with all due respect, Amazon.
None of you know what you're doing.
None of you know anything. Shut the fuck up. Write me like a blank check.
Yes. And I will make you money. Yeah.
I'll make all of it. I mean, just the amount of advertising that he can do for his own show. You put that shit, bro. Dude, they're going to be like, I actually don't even think 100 million is enough. But maybe it's just like test the water. Do one season, do one competition, give you 100 million. And then when this thing does absolute ridiculous numbers, the numbers are going to be so big that they're going to go, what
how do we even pay this guy? What, he's gonna end up owning a piece of Amazon. He's gonna be like, okay, listen, you can't afford this, so
just give me shares.
Bezos, I need like 5% of Amazon. The whole thing. It's gonna be so big, dude. And he's beloved so much that everybody is going to support him. Like they're going to rush out to
100%.
It's going to be nothing but like love. There'll be some haters, of course, but it'll be absolutely insane.
Oh,
Whatever show that it's going to be on another level. So yeah, he's going to destroy it. The real question is, will he do it? Like that's if he signs, he's going to crush it. If he doesn't sign, there's a reason, and he feels like, you know what? Nah,
this ain't the time.
This ain't it. This ain't it. This isn't gonna be as successful as what they think. But yeah, no. Yeah.
All right, now it's time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTV is the place to go if you want to financially support the podcast. As we've mentioned before, $5 or more each and every month gets you a couple perks, but you also get to ask us questions on a post I put up before the podcast each week called Tech Support, and we give you the answers that you seek with the amount of time that we've got. Let's see. Oh, Marky Mark hitting it up with a related question to the job interview. He said, what's the worst question you ever got in a job interview?
I mean, I can't even remember my job interviews.
Well, it's been a long time since you've had one.
Yeah, and I've only had maybe like 3 or 4 interviews. My first job, my mom gave me. My dad gave me a different job. I worked construction with him. When I applied for 2 of my other jobs, they were just opening, and so it wasn't even. It was like, hey, are you of age? What are your hours? You're hired. Good luck. A couple of them I had interviews, but dude, I'd be sitting here lying to everybody if I could actually remember what was discussed. I just can't. It's so long ago. It's been like 20 years.
Yeah.
Or not 20, but it's been like 16 years since I've had a job interview, like an interview.
Yeah.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can, so I didn't get any weird with the latest job interviews I've had from last week and whatnot. I didn't have any weird questions, really, thank God. The weirdest one I got was the one when I left university and I was at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And they had, I don't know what it's like now, but they had a relatively extensive hiring process at the time for their management side, where it was how many fucking interviews? It was like 4 or 5, and the last interview that you take, everyone that's in the management, the going for the management trainee position, that they eventually put you at the head of one of the branches, is this whole process. They sit you in front of their regional guy. Which here in Halifax, the regional guy was one of the 2 founders of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and who was a alumnus of the same university that I went to. And so I got through all the interviews, got to the last one, the raid boss, and all the interviews previously, they were all like, "Oh, you're gonna get this is a shoe-in. It's great, easy peasy." Hours are a bit bad, whatever, but like there's nobody else that's applied for this that you're gonna basically just coast through. So like there's like 4 interviews, like easy as shit. Last one, get talk to the raid boss, and this guy had all sorts of weird fucking questions for me. But like the weirdest one, and he asked multiple times, was, "Are you sure? Are you done with school?" Was the craziest question he asked me, and I had just graduated university, mind you, like literally a month had passed since I had left university. And I said, well, yeah, I just literally just graduated. I'm looking to get into the job market. I don't have any aspirations for quite some time to do anything like a master's or whatnot. Back then, like, you still wanted to have 2 or 3 years of experience before you could even want to go back to do a master's anyway. And so I was like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I'm done with school. I'm good. I just did my 4 years. I did my time. I'm ready to make some money now that I've spent money. I would like to make some money. And he kept asking over. I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're ready? You're done with school?" And he kept looking down at the paper because he said, because typically we don't have people with your grades, your transcripts applying here. Are you sure you're done with school? I was like, "What are you getting at? But shouldn't you be happy that you got somebody that's probably going to be good in your management program? What are you getting at?" And then I discovered this later, but they written, and this is weird because he's one of the guys, but he has control over it, so obviously that's why.
Program they can put you in.
Well, what it is their company is performance-based promotion, and every job is up for grabs and dibs, including his. And so if you outperform, you can snatch jobs. So this guy's gatekeeping at the top, and every time somebody comes in that looks like they're likely going to possibly have his job in 10 years or 15 years, he said, "Nah. You done with school?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you really done with school?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sure," and went through this whole interview. I mean, there was nothing that threw me off, like, or anything weird like that. I said, "I'm ready to work. What you got next week? Whatever. I'm good. I'm here. I'm ready to start. Whatever." All the other interviews crushed. All the HR people were fucking on board. And then and it was the email that I got back, which was from HR, was every email before that was personally written. The last one was a boilerplate response saying that I didn't get the job. Thank you for applying. And that was it.
He got you, bro.
I was like, Jesus fucking, oh my Lord.
Yeah,
so that was when I ended up getting the other job when we were just starting Lag TV. And it definitely soured. Like, not all businesses, not all people like that, but that soured me on business in general. Like, I already knew going in, getting a business degree is like, business is a certain kind of fuckery, right? Like, business is quite literally 50% bullshit, where you literally pretend you know what you're doing and climb a ladder. It's more about sucking dick and brown nosing than it is actually being competent in a job. And more often than not, people with actual competency can have a hard time if they're not starting their own company because they scare everyone else, and then they just make sure that you don't go anywhere and you spin your fucking tires until you leave the company to go somewhere else. Now, that's not the case everywhere, but that is, generally speaking, what you come up against in business, and it's a giant pain in the ass. And so that soured me, like, real fucking early. So when Lag TV started making money, I couldn't get out of business fast enough. I had just finished 4 years of college or university. I was ready to rock. I was keen, and it soured me immediately. And then I just left. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not made for this. I can't, I'm terrible at sucking dick. My teeth are already crooked. I don't need to be worse. I need to leave. And so here we are. I'm getting back into business anyway. Fucking oh how the turntables. Let's see.
Hey, I'm happy you left business, Adam. All right.
It was a good time. It was a good time. We had a good time. Jackie Lee, I think this is a first question coming in. I don't recognize the name, so first of all, thank you, Jackie, for the question and for hitting us up on Patreon. Who is your most memorable fan that both of you met? I know. I got a couple. Kentucky's, well, yeah. How do you fucking wrong. How do you not? How is it not Kentucky?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, dude. I've met some really fucking awesome people, like Mr. Miyagi. He's memorable. Yeah, but memorable. for different reasons, right? But Kentucky just stands out like.
Do you want me to tell the story? You want me to tell the story? I still have him on Facebook.
Do you?
Yeah. So Kentucky, for obviously not his real name, but we'll continue to call him Kentucky because he's from Kentucky. So this was our first fan meetup, first ever in Montreal. We decided to hold. This is where we met like French Adam for the first time and all this other shit. So we were in Montreal for this. We fly in. It's early in the morning because we got like an early flight out of Halifax to get to Montreal. And we get to the hotel, and we already know a couple of people that had messaged us that told us that they were going to come into the city for the meetup. And one of them was this guy. We called him Kentucky. And as it turns out, he ended up being like completely like serendipitous. Like he had no idea where we were booking. He ended up in the same hotel as we did. And he drove from Kentucky to Montreal, which is a fucking drive. First of all, he drove there to meet us, which we were mind blown about this, because Like TV was still really young at the time. This was not that long into Like TV. So we go, we meet him, and we find out he's in the same hotel. It's early morning. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning at this point. We go up, we find out he's there, we find out his room number, we go up to meet him. Go open the door, and here's this guy. He's probably about Jeff's height. I think he was about Jeff's height, 5'10", but big Kentucky fucking
5'10",
boy.
motherfucker. I'm almost 6 foot, man.
Okay, 5'10" and 3/4. So
I'm almost fucking 6 foot, man.
You're
Just
37.
knocked off
You're 37. You got to measure yourself. Like me, I used to be 6'6". I still say that, but I'm more like 6'5" now. That's what happens when you sit in a chair for fucking 15 years. It's just kind of what happens. But here goes Kentucky, and he's a big boy. Like, he's a big lad. Solid guy. Nicest fucking guy. He's Kentucky, like the stereotype, Southern guy, but really, really nice dude. And we sit down and we're chatting with him for a bit. And we brought t-shirts up. We had just our first round of those terrible fucking t-shirts that we sold.
Sourboat Life.
The Sourboat Life, the shit the bed, all that stuff.
Man. I still have those upstairs
Do you?
in my closet.
I think I lost mine. I don't know if I have mine anymore. But he was the first. He got the first signed anything from Like TV, and I have pictures of that. On the bed in the hotel room. We both signed it. Neither of us had a signature at the time. Like, we literally didn't know what the fuck to sign on these shirts, and it was horrible because we were signing shirts on a bed, so it was so difficult to sign them. But we signed these shirts off, we get pictures with them and whatnot, and we were just chilling in the hotel room. It was too early, we didn't have any plans yet. And what he says, he just says, boys, we gotta celebrate. And we're like, all right, yeah, absolutely. What are you thinking? And he pulls out of his bag a full bottle of fucking bourbon. Kentucky, obviously. So, like, proper Kentucky bourbon. Which is essentially, if you've never had Kentucky bourbon, it's gasoline. You could drive a car if you tried hard enough. You could pour bourbon into your car, and you'd manage to get the car to move forward. So he pulls out this bottle of fucking bourbon, and we're like, yeah, fuck, we got some cups? Like, yes, we took the cups that, they're in the hotel room, the plastic cups, whatever, took them off. We drank the whole fucking bottle of Kentucky bourbon at 9 o'clock in the morning. We finished it at like 10:30, quarter to 11. We were sitting down drinking this whole time. Jeff was sitting on the foot of the bed. I was sitting in one of the chairs of the room. Kentucky was sitting at one that was at like the computer desk, like pull-out fucking thing. And we were just talking, shooting the shit, and drinking bourbon. We finished the whole fucking bottle at that hour of the morning. And I hadn't drank that much alcohol probably my entire fucking life. And I like just so much fucking alcohol. And again, like gasoline. But I knew better than to stand up, because if I stood up, I knew I was fucked. Like, I'd sit down for long enough to be okay. But I remember when he finally said it's time to go, I remember Jeff stood up quick. Jeff jumped to his feet, but Jeff's like a third of a fucking bourbon bottle deep at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he was immediately like, fuck, shit. It was stumbling and falling on the bed and shit. Took him a while. We all of us, first of all, Kentucky, who could have probably drank the whole bottle by himself, was fine.
He was fine.
We were buckled. We were fucking buckled. It wasn't even noon yet, and we were fucking buckled. And we leave the hotel together, and we ended up like bar hopping from fucking 12 noon until like 2 o'clock that morning, meeting up with Vans in various capacities. Ran into T-Diz at one point. You've all heard the story of like
random,
him just showed up. We didn't know he was there.
That was a fun trip, man. I had fun on that trip.
That was a fun trip. Yeah, it was a fun trip. Yeah, Diz bought everyone Jaeger bombs at the fucking karaoke. Jeff was standing on a pool table singing Enrique Iglesias at one point. And then Diz ran off and came back. We saw him on the way back to the hotel. He had wax. He had no shirt, wax all over his body. I swear to God, it's like a fucking. It was
He's
like
a mysterious guy, man.
It's a mysterious individual, but he had disappeared. He had no shoes, no shirt, wax all over him. Walking down the street, we were walking towards a hotel. We looked left up a hill at night. There was nobody else in the street at this hour, and there's a lone figure walking down, and like these backlit by the street lights. And all of a sudden, you just hear, Pam. Which is what he called Jeff. He just called Jeff Pim. And he's Pim! And he sounded distressed, and we were like, what the fuck is going on? Why does Diz have no shirt? no shirt, no shoes. And he's trying to describe to us like he ended up stumbling in after he left the bar with us, where he like everyone
rave or something. I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
So he left the bar that he was with us, where he bought everyone Jaeger bombs and he was hanging out for a bit. He left to go like to some other club that he heard about. As it turns out, he's by himself. Like only Diz would travel around Montreal by himself, fucking bar hopping. But he like goes into this random club. It turns out to be like a semi BDSM club. And they had like everyone was taking their shirts off. Everyone he was describing it like, pimp. Nobody had shirts on, and they all had wax, the candlesticks. And they were just pouring wax on everyone, and they were pouring wax on me, and it hurt like hell, pimp. And I just had to get the fuck. I don't know where my shoes are. I don't have shirt. And so wax covered Diz, no shirt, no shoes, in the middle of Montreal at 2:00 in the morning. And we were offered him to come back to the hotel because he had no shirt, no shoes. And he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I know I got somewhere I'm gonna go." And he left, walked off into the fucking into the sunset. We never fucking saw him again. And that was, honest to God, that was literally the last time I personally have seen Diz in person. Was that very moment?
Fuck, I think that might have been the last time I've seen him. I might have seen him once when he was here in Nova Scotia. You know what? So yeah, there was Kentucky. But there was another guy. I know who he is, but I won't say his name because I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't, but I think it was the same trip or it was another one.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But anyway, he came and he was acting. He was socially awkward.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm used to that because I would go to a lot of gaming conventions and there's like, a lot of video game nerds and, they don't get out much and it's much more frequent. It wasn't like out of the norm, but this guy in particular, and he's super nice guy. Like he still pops into the stream once in a while. Like I see him like once every 6 months. And super nice guy, very polite, like cool to hang out with, but just something was off, right? And I was thinking to myself, is it something like maybe it's a crowd of people that like he just doesn't know? Maybe sometimes when people meet me, and I'm not a celebrity or anything, but like just from the past, sometimes they're like, "Oh my god, like holy shit!"
Yeah, they get the awkward little.
Watching you, yeah, like I'm used to watching you, and like here you are, in my face and stuff like that. So I thought like, okay, maybe it's not necessarily being starstruck, but it's like it's just like this is a different interaction than what I'm used to with this guy. And we ended up going to see a movie, and we went to go see X-Men. And I don't know if you were at this one. I can't remember if this was. I don't think it was because I think this was the second time I went to Montreal because I think Kayla was there with me.
Yeah, I never went back to Montreal. I don't think.
Okay, but yeah, so this guy, we go see this movie, and the whole time, like we're going into the movie, he's like sketched out, like he's like looking around. He's like I'm saying his name, and he's kind of like, you could tell like his mind was somewhere else. And we end up seeing this movie, and all is done, and we ended up by ourselves somewhere away from the crowd for a second, and he said, "Yo, Jeff, man, just want to say like, hey, man, like thanks for getting everybody together and stuff." He's like, I've never done this before, and at that I was like, yeah, man, no problem. Like, what do you mean? And then he told me, he was like, where I was brought up, it's very like, I don't think he used the word cult, but he used like he was very sheltered. And
right.
He never been to a movie before, never been to a movie theater, never had gone to a bar, never had been around large crowds of people.
It's like a Jehovah Witness or something, maybe.
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
But super nice guy, like fucking really awesome dude to chill and hang with. But there was something off, right? I was like, man.
Well, that would do it.
It all started making sense.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, fuck, bro. Like, anytime we do this stuff, come on out, man. Like, love to have you. You've been great. Like, yada, yada, yada. So I think for him, he was just like absorbing like all of the shit. It was almost like watching one of those movies where like a superhero from another planet, like ends up on Earth, and it's like
Wonder Woman's boyfriend gets brought board.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a fish out of water. It's like, oh my god, sensory overload. I thought that was like, that was one of the more memorable people.
Yeah,
that
for
I've
sure.
met because it just left an impression on me, right?
You know who else is memorable and for similar reasons, but for like different? I think his handle was actually Fred Penner. Do you remember him?
Of course, yes. Yeah.
He had like the Jesus hair and beard.
Yeah,
he said
big, long, fucking, huge,
like
long
actual,
beard.
like to his waist almost. And he said about 4 fucking words the entire time.
Yeah. Super nice guy.
Super nice guy. 4
Just
words.
kept to himself.
Chilled. Yep. That was it. That was the show. I was just like, he was like so fucking like he was so like eccentric. I don't know.
It was like fucking having a wizard there. It was like having fucking Gandalf the Grey.
Yes.
Just kind of watching over everybody, not saying anything, but
it's
enjoying
true.
it as well. It's just like he's just sitting there.
And he was kind of cool. He was kind of cool because like, he didn't say a lot, but he would also like he also kind of played like we asked him, but he kind of played like mini bodyguard where he was like checking other people out to make sure they weren't weird, which felt ironic to me at the time. But super nice guy, but he was just so funny because just this wizard ass fucking beard, the long hair, the whole 9 yards. Oh, it was funny. Yeah, for sure. So that was another one. But we've definitely met a few unique individuals. But you know what? I will say this: we have been so lucky. So many content creators have met like just some wild individuals. We had all the time that we went out back in the early 2010s and whatnot. We were very lucky. Everyone was super nice, and not like being super crazy weird about it. There was like one person I can think of that was like quasi, but it wasn't with us. It was like a tangentially related. Another person was involved.
I've never said this. I don't even think I've said this to you. Maybe I did. Dude, I didn't want to say this. Okay. So when I went to Germany, in 2014,
right?
I went to Germany to do some League of Legends thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there was an after party.
Okay.
And I went to this after party, and there was a girl there that watched my streams, right?
Okay.
And there was a girl there, and she watched my streams, and I was hanging out like it wasn't a club, it was more of like a pub. But they were doing karaoke and the regular stuff. And at the time, I had lost all my luggage on the way out to Germany. So what I had to do is I had to go to stores. And I was only in Germany for 2 days. It was like I flew out.
Yeah, you were there back.
I was gone. Yeah. So my luggage never actually got to me. So what the airline said is like, hey, we'll give you a stipend. Go out and buy clothes that you need, so that you can fucking change, and then bill us at the end. So anyway, I got to the club or the bar after filming the stuff, and I was getting ready to leave literally the next day, but I didn't have any clothes. So I'm inside. I finally go there because I was a little bit late, and then there was like almost a strip mall across the street, and there was like a store that was kind of like a Walmart, but it wasn't a Walmart. It was like a little bit nicer. I don't know if you ever heard of like a Siemens or whatever it's called.
Simons, yeah.
Simons, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very similar to like Simons. So they had some clothes, but they were getting ready to close because it was getting late. So anyway, I get in there, and there's the girl that was there. She was like, "Hey, Maximus." I was like, hey, "Hello." And she was like, "Oh, I watch your stream all the time, and this is my username, and blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, cool." And everything was fine. And I have to go across the street to go get some clothes because I was just wearing like, I don't even remember what I was wearing, but it wasn't like I felt underdressed. So I went across the street, and I'm looking for clothes, and I get changed, or I buy a few clothes. I go back to the club or the bar. I go into the bathroom and I change. I come back out, and she's like almost like waiting for me as I get out. So I get out, and I kind of like I see her standing there. She's with a friend, and it was one of her girlfriends or whatever. So she's like, hey, it's me again. And there was like a little bit of food kind of sitting out. So I was like picking at little bits of food there, just finger food.
Yeah.
That they had out. And then I have a beer. We order a beer, and there's a bunch of us. Like, people are coming up. We're all talking and whatnot. So anyway, I have a couple of drinks, right? I go up, I do karaoke and stuff, and I'm kind of like doing my own thing, like, but this girl is kind of like, I don't want to say following me around, but shadowing to a degree. Like, I almost can feel her presence. It's like wherever I'm going, she's like kind of. If I go somewhere, like she's kind of over there. So anyway, I have a couple of drinks, and I'm going to sit down. I'm sitting down at a table, and I'm talking to a few guys, just about League of Legends, and we're talking about Trendemir and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, we're getting ready to go, and it's like it's getting late. People are starting to clear out. This has been a couple hours in, and this girl, she comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, like, where are you staying?" I'm like, at a hotel. She was like, "Do you want to come back to my place with me and my friend?" And I'm like, for what? Right? Like, and she pretty much made it very clear that, like,
we're going for a three-way.
You and I'm like, no. I'm like, no. I gotta go. Like, I was nice about it, but like, her and her German friend, they were from Germany. Like, and it was awkward because when I got back and I got home, I never saw her in the chat anymore. It was like she was like a regular, and I didn't even know it was a girl. Like, but I knew the username.
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
told me the username, and she was around all the time. Never saw her again. But I could tell, and I don't know. Here's the thing, I don't know if it was an invite for a good time or an invite for a bad time. I don't.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know. But one way or another, the invitation got declined. But
Yikes!
Yeah, that was another interesting. That was probably the weirdest thing that has transpired meeting people. But yeah.
We got. I'd say in general we got pretty lucky. We got pretty lucky with our shit, for sure. Let me see here. Get through a couple of these quick so that we can get on to StarCraft, because I've got to get out of here earlier than usual. So if you don't get your question answered, save it for next week and post it again. Let's see. Dave, this is not a question, but David says, "Hey Jeff, I was thinking maybe you could take Kai to Florida to go to Legoland. What do you think, please?"
No. I was telling my stream the other day that, didn't I tell you about that, where Kai was trying to finesse me to go to Legoland? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, that's where this is coming from. Yeah.
Okay,
we were on the podcast. You told us about that. Yeah. Let's see.
He beat another video game. He beat Lego Marvel Superheroes. Now he's playing Lego Marvel
Star Wars
Superheroes
or something?
2.
Oh, Star Wars. Oh, Marvel. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, they're usually all good games, so that's good.
Yeah.
Let me see here. It's your account, Mr. Black. Pulsating ripe developing titties. 1 million cash today or $70K a year for the rest of your life? And does your answer change if the amounts are taxable? 1 million today or $70K a year for the rest of your life? I mean, $70K a year for a number of reasons. Not least of which is it's more inflation protected than the 1 million now, because you're going to be getting it yearly, which means it's going to the dollar amount will not be quite as fucked as getting $1 million now. It will give me a little bit more, well, it doesn't really inflation protect it that well, but it's better than just the 1 million, I think, still. But then it won't give you, like, it'll make sure that I don't spend it all in one place either. Like, get the 1 million up front. Way more likely to blow all that shit.
Rest of your life, like, unless you're only gonna live for like another.
Well, that's the other thing.
10 years.
I mean, we're young men.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 37. You're 35.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, dude, $70K a year.
Easy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd probably do it as low as like 40K a year, 50K a year. I'd take that over $1 million.
Ace High asks, which was the stronger Oscar battle, Good Will Hunting versus Titanic in 1998 or Forrest Gump versus The Shawshank Redemption in 95? Fuck, imagine trying to pick between those when the time came. Holy fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Shawshank Redemption one's probably a bit closer.
I think so too. I think those two films are on a closer...
Yeah.
I mean, Good Will Hunting is more or less like my favorite fucking movie of all time, but you were, it's Titanic, for fuck's
Titanic,
sake.
bro.
It's James
It's
Cameron.
Titanic. Yeah, I mean, it's Titanic.
It's Titanic.
You can't really say like it's Good Will Hunting. Like you can,
No,
but it's
you
not
can.
the same as saying it's Titanic.
Yeah, not
you know
quite.
What I mean,
Not quite the same thing.
Totally different beast.
And then Zonix, Jeff, what's your favorite business book?
Oh boy, I don't know if I have a favorite. Because I don't really read specific business books. I read, like, what kind of question is this? Or is it like a generic business question or any business related book? Like, because there's real estate books, there's sales books, there's
I think it's just I think it's just a general question. If there was one that stands out.
I mean, dude, I know a lot of people don't really like him. But I am a big fan. I think my favorite business book,
Mr.
of
Wonderful.
all time. No, it's no. My favorite business book that really struck everything off is Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I believe
that's a classic. Everyone should read that book.
Everyone should just read that book. It's short, but it'll change the perspective that you have.
It's also done in like story form, and you're not reading like a business textbook. It's not like
it's very
crazy
digestible.
technical. Yeah,
it's very digestible. But I would say a book that I always think about when people ask me these questions is from a guy that some people don't really like, and I can see why. It's from Grant Cardone, and it's called Sell or Be Sold.
Right. Yeah.
It's a fantastic book, and it's a book about sales and how to close. And it's and what I like about it is he puts it out in a way, and the audiobook's great because he's got a good personality. He's very eccentric, and he's he can. It makes it's not a boring read, but and I don't even believe in all of his philosophies, like the way that he does certain things. It's not really my path, but he's got a lot of gems in there, and he can fucking sell. And the thing is what I like the most about it wasn't even just about selling for business. Is he goes into detail about how everything you're selling. So, for example, M, she wants kids, she wants to get married, right? Well, she's got to sell you on that idea, or you got to sell her on the idea that like, hey, I only want a small wedding, or I only want this, or I only want that. Or for me, my son has got to sell me on going to Legoland, and I got to sell to him why we can't go, or why we shouldn't go now. There's a lot of different philosophies that he kind of goes through about how everything you're being sold all the time on virtually anything and everything, from the shows you watch to the clothes you wear to the music you listen to. It might not be literally from a sales pitch, like monetary wise, but you're being sold a bag of goods. You're being sold a vision. You're being sold a whatever. And that was very enlightening because I never really thought of it like everything is almost like a business transaction. Even your relationships that you have is, it's not the healthiest to look at it as, sell and it, but the philosophy behind it, and how you can navigate and be a good partner when somebody's trying to sell you things, and how to interpret that and how to counteract that, or beat in the middle or get your way. Kind of goes into a lot of that. So I think that the book is really good, and it's one that I always I think of,
I listened to that book like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and it still sticks with me. So I'll say Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Go check that out.
All right. Let's see. I think we can do one more before we spin out of here for this week. What do we got here? One's this is from Jackie again, but we will both have unique takes on this because I'm entering into it and you've gone through it. Asks any advice for people who are on the fence about having a kid. Let's just say that money isn't like part of the equation.
Advice?
Just general advice, I guess. Who are on the fence about having a kid.
On the fence. So like me trying to persuade you to have kids? Is that
well,
what
I don't
this
know
is?
about I don't know it's about persuasion per se, but just if you're on the fence about having it, you know, what are general advice or considerations?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if finances aren't a
roadblock.
A roadblock, so to speak, right? Because, you know, when you have kids, it's not cheap, especially starting out. Like you got to buy all the things, right? And it's a whole nother mouth to feed, and it's one that like you can't get rid of. You know what I mean? Like it's your kid. Like you got to put them first. I think for me is I think you have to evaluate, and I'm only speaking from my behalf. Some people will agree or disagree. I don't really care. You're asking for my opinion. I'll give it to you.
Well, it's parenthood. Everyone is so fucking opinionated on it. It's the way it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I would say my biggest hurdles, my absolute biggest hurdles were two things. Number one, it was financial, right? I mean, I could have had kids years ago, like before I had Kai. But I really wanted to make sure, because of the career that I'm in, that like, hey, you know, streaming goes away. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Do I really, like, can I even, you know, handle having a kid if I'm trying to do something? These are just the things that played in my head. But the biggest thing is I was very selfish with my time. All I wanted to do was focus on work. And I like still being alone. It's how I am. Like, I could leave the home all day and really, and just really not miss home. You know what I mean? Like that's how I am. And I was afraid that like I will lose the ability to have me time and be able to kind of unplug. And I was very selfish with my time. Like I wanted to put work before a child, right? And so I knew that like, hey, I'm still in this part of my career that if I have a child, I don't want to be an absent father. My dad was pretty absent in the majority of my life. He was there for the important stuff, for sure. But I never had a dad that was like, I never had the type of dad you have, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like very homey. It was, you know, both parents are there all the time. And not saying my childhood was miserable or anything, but like, you know, when you grow up without something, you want better for your kids, or you even if you have everything, you just want better for your kids. And I knew that if I had a kid 10 years ago, that I was going to want to put my work before my child. And so it wasn't until I knew I was ready to let go of work some where I felt like, okay, I'm ready. Obviously, I had some pressures with my wife because I kept telling her like, hey, couple more years, it's gonna be 2 more years. I mean, 2 more years, 2 more years. And it kept doing that. And so eventually she got to the point where she was like, no, I'm off birth control. I'm clamping down. You're busting all up inside. And it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But I was also ready at that point. And I think she knew I was ready. I just needed that kick, because there's, no matter what, it is for me, you're always gonna question if you're ready. And you just really don't know. You know, everything changes. You just don't know. But if you have a good partner and you believe that, you know, that they're going to be a good mother or father, and that they're going to be by your side, and it's a team effort, and
the money situation's taken care of, you know what? You're going to get through it. And I'll tell you this. It hasn't been always peaches and rainbows. There's issues and there's things that come up, and you got to mold your life around the child. And that's, but you know what? When you become a dad or a mom, you're more than happy to do that. And it's like this instinct that just takes over, that it's the best thing in the world. I would give my life away for my son without question. There is literally nothing in this world that I could trade for my boy. It doesn't exist. It's not, I'd give it all up in a second. Wouldn't even think about it. And it's the greatest thing ever. So yeah, I'm kind of pushing you towards having a kid if you're ready. Because whatever concerns that you have mentally, the benefits of having an offspring that's yours, that looks like you and sounds like you and has your mannerisms and is there looking to you as you're a superhero and you're the only thing that matters, there's no better feeling. It changed your whole perspective on life. Whatever you thought you wanted before, it's none of that. I shouldn't say none of it matters, but all that takes a back seat because it's minuscule into comparison to what you've been blessed with. So if you're in a financial position, you can take care of a child and you've got a loving family that is ready to receive this blessing in your life, go for it. And it will be challenging, but my God, it's rewarding. Have a kid.
Well, I don't have much else to add to that. I mean, that's pretty much where it is. If money, like for Em and I, up to this point, financial has been the biggest roadblock. That's pretty much been it. And getting ourselves into a home and whatnot. I never wanted to have a child before being in a home. I didn't want to have to move a whole bunch of times after having a kid or anything like that. I wanted them to have space to themselves, all this stuff, have their own place to be. So, it was most of it's just money. So, if money is not a thing, my question would be, or the thing that I would say to think about is that because money is not the thing, if it's off the table, and you're still on the fence, what's holding you on that side of the fence? Like, if there's still something left over, you got to explore whatever the fuck that is, and find out. Because I am definitely in the camp for having kids, when you're ready, and when I say when you're ready, like Jeff would say, it's true, you're never truly ready, but truly ready. You know what I mean when I say you're ready. Like there are some boxes that you can definitely check off.
Hold your child. When that child comes out and you hold your child, you're ready. Yeah. You'll just make yourself ready. It's just it is what it is. Yeah.
But beyond that, you got to ask yourself what it is, because I'm all for it. I'm all for having kids and whatnot, but I'm also all for people not having kids for the sake of having kids, because there are, in my estimation, there are more people walking around out there right now that had parents that had them when they weren't ready or didn't really want kids and didn't have this epiphany moment holding their child, that were then not good parents, and they end up being not great people, and it perpetuates a bad cycle that we see all the time. And so odds are, but this is how I phrase this. Odds are, if you ask yourself at this point in life the question, man, am I really ready? You're probably ready.
Probably ready.
Because you're mature enough to ask yourself the question, am I ready? That means that you're putting in thought and being earnest about it, which means you are probably there. It's just, you just have to take that last leap of faith with, as many things as you can have, be stable, and then just off to the races you go. But that's it. Jeff pretty much nailed everything else. And with that, it's the end of a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get out of here. We're going to do some StarCraft so I can get to him to work early so she can deal with all this other bullshit staffing issues. And so we will leave you with that. Thank you very much for being with us this week. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. And until we see you guys next week, stay safe out there. Have a good one. And peace.
Hey, yes.